Hi everyone, today I'm going to show you two different methods for making these scrunchies. Both methods are correct. There isn't a right or wrong, it just depends which method you prefer and what you want to achieve. So one method will give you a straight seam across like that, and the other method is like this, where the seam isn't sewn down. So that gives you a nice roughly look. And here are some of the scrunchies I've made recently. That's a super size one. So they come in different sizes. And here's some of my labels that I make, and I'll show you in another video how I make these labels. They're really easy and simple, and you really don't need any special equipment either. And these are some of the bows I'm making, hair bows. I just need to put clips on the back, and these are super easy. And if you don't have a sewing machine, it's really fine, because you don't need a sewing machine for this. It's really good for those who don't have one. So let's have a look at how the two different ways of making a scrunchie. So here's my fabric. I've got two pieces here, and making super size scrunchies here, so these are really big. This is 60 centimeters long by 14 centimeters wide, and I'll show you the two different methods using these two strips. So the first method is what I call the tube method, because in effect that's what you're doing. You're going to fold the fabric in half lengthways with the right sides facing and the two long sides together, so you get a long tube like that. And what you do is you sew all down that long side. So now what you have to do is turn this the right way round. So because this is quite a big scrunchie, this is quite loose, so I can just do this by hand, but you can use a knitting needle or a pen or something to turn this the right way up. There are other methods, of course, that you can use for turning these the right way around, but I'm going to be just doing it by hand, as I said. Okay, so there you go. Right, so once you've done that, what I'm going to do is take one end and turn it in about 1 centimetre and just give that a crease, finger press that down, and just to give you a guide. So like that, just finger press that all the way down. The other end you leave like that. Now you have to thread your elastic through this. Now for my threading, I've got two things I use. One is just a hairpin, straightforward large hairpin like that, or I've got this, which is actually an old toothbrush. Cut the head off and drill a small hole in one end, put some string around it, and you can use that. Because that's quite big, it's quite easy to thread through, but I'm going to use this pin, so put that in there, just tie a small knot loosely, and you may want to keep some pins handy here. You'll see why in a minute. So what I'm going to do is put this through there, and I'm going to just pin the elastic here so that it doesn't go all the way through. So that's just to hold it in place there. Now I'm just going to use the pin to thread that all the way to the other end. Like that. Just undo that. And then you can tie the elastic in a knot. Can be a bit tricky if you're trying to tie a small knot, so I'm going to make that a bit bigger and then make it smaller. Try pulling that up. Okay, so that's nice and secure now. So there, you've got your scrunchie there. Now you've got to sew these two sides together, and also you've got to remember to put your label in. So I'm going to cut out one of these. Right, so you find your two ends, and the one that you turned over, you want to put this raw edge inside here, this one. Right, the other thing you have to make sure is that your seam is all running in the same way. So there's my seam, there, and I want to make sure that's all straight. This is not twisted. So yeah, it's gone a little bit twisted there. So just bring that out, like that. And then match your seams up here. So I'm going to put the raw edges, just get the knot out of the way actually, if you pull that. And then put the raw end inside the other end that you folded over. And make sure the seams match there. And just straighten this out a little bit. So you can see this method is a little bit fiddly, and the second method I'm going to show you is a little bit more straightforward, and the one I prefer as well. So once you've got that all in there, then you want to just put your label there and then pin it. Like that. Now you need to sew across there. So there, that's one method of making a scrunchie. With this one, as I said, you do get this flat edge here because you've sewn across the fabric. So you can't really do anything about that, but just try and hide it in the ruffles. Now the second method I'm going to show you is one I prefer, as it's a little bit cleaner. And that involves taking your label and what I'm going to do is just fold this piece in half to give me my just to show the middle there. And what I'm going to do is sew these one with the short sides together. So you want to take it, put the short sides together like that, and then you take your label and you put it on one side of the fabric. So just line it up, not too close to the edge because you're going to be sewing there, and so just somewhere in the middle of one side. Then you line those two up and you just sew across that short side. Now what you want to do is, while it's still folded over like this, take the two top sides like that and fold them into the middle just to get them out of the way. You take these two outer layers and you bring those two together, and that's what you're going to sew, is these two outside layers. But just want to make sure that these inside layers are kept out of the way. So just fold those in, fold that over, and you want to sew down this long edge, pulling this through as you go. So you'll see what I mean. Now, as you can see, I'm going to pull this inside tube through so I can keep on sewing. So match up the seams. Put it down through some more here, like this. And you want to make sure you leave a small gap opening so you can turn it the right way around. And this is really easy. This method is really easy because all you do is you just pull this through, and that's quite easy. So this method is quite easy. As you can see, you can just pull that through. Now you want to thread